Hello all, my name is Giovanna. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. If you're brand new, I'm happy to meet you. Now, as you all know, it's summer vacation. Yay, lots of fun, swimming, cookouts, most importantly, no school or homework, right? I know how fun that time is, but I also know that this is when a lot of students tend to forget a lot of what they've learned in music. Being a music teacher myself, I wanted to make sure that my students and any others who are interested had tools at their disposal to help them review their music so that they don't forget everything over this summer. So today, our first lesson is how to find middle C on your piano. So the first thing I teach all of my students is how to find middle C on your piano, because if there's nothing else that you remember from your first piano lesson with me, it should be at least you can find middle C. Because if you can find middle C, I can help you learn the logic to figure out everything else. So middle C is right in the middle of the piano. What's another name for middle C? C4. Why is it named C4? Well, if we start at the bottom end of the piano, we have our first C, C1. We can move up 8 more keys here to C2. Another 8 keys, C3, C4, C5, C6, C7, and C8. Now, if you notice from all of the C's that I just played, they are always to the left of 2 black keys. Now let's take a look at the black keys again. There's a pattern. 2 black keys, 3 black keys, 2 black keys, 3 black keys. This pattern of 2 black keys, 3 black keys, 2 black keys, 3 black keys helps to create a predictable pattern for pianists to use. So let's return to middle C for a moment. Middle C is not the only note on the piano, of course. So if we go backwards in the alphabet from middle C, we go to B, and then we go to A. A is in between the 2 rightmost black keys in a group of 3. So that is always going to be an A. So let's take ourselves 2 notes to the left of middle C. This is A. If we move to the right 1 key, that's B. C, D, E, F, G. Now this next one's a trick. That is not H. It is A like apple, not H like hedgehog. The musical alphabet only goes from A to G. Once you hit G again, you go back around to A. G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and so on. Now let's go back to our trusty C4 again, or middle C. Do all of our notes have numbers assigned to them? Actually, yes. And it makes it a lot easier to make sure that you are playing the correct version of a note. Because here, I'll play, for example, let's go with G1. That sounds very different from G5. 1 is much lower in pitch than the other. So if you're not playing the right version of the note, it can be very noticeable. So let's quickly touch on all of these notes. So let's go all the way to the left on our piano. The very last key. That note is A1. It's a little funky, as we'll get to later, because normally A is in between the 2 rightmost black keys in a group of 3. this is the odd man out. So just keep that in mind when you're playing. It's a little weird. So let's quickly go over how these numbers work. We have something called octaves on the piano keyboard. Octaves mean 8 notes. So here, let's count. We have A1, B1, C1, D1, E1, F1, G1, and A2. From A1 to A2 is an octave. They are 8 notes apart. And that is where you switch the number. 8 notes up from A2 is A3. 8 notes up from that, A4. 8 from there, A5. 8 from there, A6, A7, A8. And that is how all of the other notes work as well. So if you go and you play the note to the right of A1, B1. 8 notes from that, B2. 8 from there, B3, so on. That's how all of these notes work. All right, so now that we've gone over the basics, let's play a little game. Find a partner or a parent, someone who can help you by giving you a note name and a number between 1 and 8. And then you have to find that note as quickly as possible. So just for example, let's look for G2. Well, G2, it's going to be closer to the left side of the piano, so I'm going to start there. I know where A1 is. I count all the way to A2. A, B, C, D, E, F, and then, oh, there's my first G after A2. That is G2. There we go. Now, let's try and find F6. That's really close to middle C, so I'm going to start here, C4. I'm going to go count 8 to C5. Do that again to C6. Now that I'm at C6, I need to find that first F above it, C, D, E, F. And there's F6. Right. Now at the end of this video, how about you give it a try? I'll see you next time as we introduce treble clef and bass clef. Have a wonderful day. Ciao, ciao.